Um, yeah. Uh, another one, another one for the kind of a religion or cult or extremist group type things. Um, as you can tell, I'm just recording these all in the same day, like I've done with a few other ones. Um, so, this one is going to be about kind of, I refer to it as kind of the founding Titan cult. I put it more as, I do kind of put it as a cult because of the, what it seems to do to affect the very high ranking people inside the walls, particularly inside of Walshina, for the people who are, very high ranking, the noblemen and stuff like that, and some of the high ranking people of the military. So the kind of where this came from, where I would put kind of the cult of the founding Titan, or the belief system for the founding Titan. I kind of put more towards the will of the king that I've done several videos on. That type of a cult that goes with that. So we know, of course, that Karl Fritz, the 145th king, or the 45th king, or the first king of the walls, that he gathered the royal family and other people of Eldian descent and took them to Paradise Island, where, of course, he used the countless colossal titans to form the three walls, Maria, Rose, and Sheena, of course, that stretch across, that, encase them, technically keep them in a cage. Which has been pointed out multiple times. It's pointed out by Aaron in the beginning of the series. It's pointed out by other people, and even in Before the Fall. It is equated to a very gilded bird cage that they get to live in. What ends up happening is, Karl Fritz, built the walls and put the colossal titans inside of them as kind of a threat to the outside world, that I'm going to do the rumbling if you come in and attack us. You come in and attack me, I'll just have, my, whatever my descendant is at the time that bears the founding Titan, be able to awaken all of these people inside of the walls and, send them on their way to destroy all of you, trample everything. And we learn that this is kind of a lie. Willie Tybur explains that this is a lie when he does his whole, play thing and everything. And, he explains that no, Karl Fritz didn't do, he made the colossal titans and they're all in the walls and everything. But the threat of the rumbling is actually fake. It was there to try to keep people away so that way he could have a peaceful life for the rest of his days, which again I put as a coward. Put him as a coward. Those who have watched my other videos know that I do not like him at all. But what ends up happening is, Willie Tybur explains that, well, we had, the Tybur family worked with him, and they created the Helios character that was, this hero for Marley and everything. And then, of course, the Tybur family that had the not Armor Titan, not Battle Titan, frick. I hate when I do this. The Warhammer Titan, sorry. That had the Warhammer Titan that, they were there to help. They stayed to help. And, of course, so many Eldians stayed. They had, several of the other Titan shifters. They have the female Titan. They have the Colossal Titan, the Armor Titan, the Beast Titan, and the Jaw Titan, of course, that they had, that the Marleyans had. Well, they also had the Attack Titan at that time too, because the Owl, Aaron Kruger ends up getting, of course, getting his hands on the Attack Titan at some point. But then, of course, the Eldians, that are left on the island, only have. Oh, they also have the Cart Titan, of course, for the Marleyans. Sorry, because the Eldians only have the Founding Titan at that point in time. All the rest of them are, being held by Marley, and through that was either other machinations from Karl Fritz to get all the other Titans in Marley's hands, so that way they had all the other Titans, so that way the Eldians in the walls wouldn't really be able to fight back against the Titans very much. Or just fight back in general very much. Now the question is whether or not Karl Fritz knew that they were going to keep dropping, that one of the questions that I pose is, did Karl Fritz know that the Marleyans were going to keep bringing other Eldians, forcibly turning them into Titans, and then pushing them, and then dropping them into, onto Paradise, and then just letting them roam all over the place to then, cause more problems? I'm going to assume, yes, he knew this. That's one of the reasons why he probably let them have the Beast Titan or other things like that. So that way they could keep doing that. So they could keep dropping more Titans there to keep having the Titans keep the rest of the Eldians inside the walls that are on the island. But one of the other things that they go through is, Willie Tybur, says that no, it's a lie. Yes, the rumbling technically could happen, but it has to be held by a member of the royal family for it to be able to work. And because of Karl Fritz's pacifistic vow, that won't happen. If you're of royal blood and you are the possessor of the founding Titan, you can't do this. You're trapped within his will. Your will at that point is overtaken by his will. And we see this. We saw this with Yuri, with Rod's brother. We saw this with Rod's father as well. And it was probably the same thing for, Rod's grandfather, or whoever had it previously before Rod's father had it. But, we see, in the flashbacks, we see Rod and Yuri begging their father to, you have the power of the founding Titan. We know you do. Why don't you just, stop the Titans from attacking us so that way we can leave? Whether or not they 100% know about the outside world is a little bit debatable. But they're like that. But, and their father won't do it because that's him being taken over by the 145th, by Karl Fritz, again and again and again, refusing to do that. And then, the same thing happens with Yuri, because Yuri had said when he took the power, before he took the power of the Titan, he told Rod that, oh, I'll take the power of the Titan, when it's time. I'll take it from Dad, and then I will use my power to be able to, free us from these Titans, be able to control the Titans, just probably I would think the best way to do that is basically you have whoever is, if the pacifistic vow is not there, basically have whoever is the founding Titan, you have them, go and be outside of the wall that's being attacked. You lure a ton of Titans there, or as a test run first, you lure some Titans there, and then you have the founder there, the person who possesses the founding Titan, you have them change into their founding Titan form, and then you have them command all of the other Titans that are in that vicinity to stop, to freeze, to stop, to whatever. And then you have, then you have the scouts go and just basically go through and slice their necks, so that way they can, fall apart and everything. And so the Titans die. We basically see something similar to this happen, of course, when we have Aaron and the group, when they're trying to rescue Aaron from Renner and Bertolt. We have it that, Aaron punches the Smiling Titan, Dina Fritz, revealed to have royal blood. He punches her, and when he makes contact with her, that allows him to activate the founding Titan that's inside of him, because Dina Fritz has royal blood. He activates that, and that allows him to then basically make all the other Titans in the area, and we have, I think we have Reiner and Bertolt and Emir all notice that shift. They all feel that moment when Aaron makes contact, when the founding Titan is activated inside of him for that short amount of time, and then all the other Titans then attack the Smiling Titan and kill it, while the rest of the Survey Corps are able to escape. And and we saw that, but then we also see it when, Zeke is controlling all of these other Titans that he just created, when he has them all lined up around Shiganshina to prevent the Eldians to prevent the scouts from being able to leave. They, set them up there as an ambush, and they had all the Titans pop up. And what ends up happening is, Levi then uses them as a way to, they're not going to move because Zeke doesn't, Zeke has ordered them not to move. They won't move. The very tall ones won't move. I think it's the 10 meters or whatever won't move, but the 3 meters and the 5 meters, he sent them in to attack. But the rest of them aren't moving because they're there as a deterrent. And it's designed to either it's they either the LD and the scouts try to escape and they'll be killed by the Titans because there's not enough room there on a high area for them to be able to swing around. There's not food in Shiganshina. They didn't bring enough supplies, and there's not enough food in Shiganshina for them to be able to survive for an extreme amount of time. Plus, they'll run out of water eventually. And Eren, and like Erwin's like, well, we'll either die from that or they'll just, attack us at some point once we're weak and don't have, a lot of strength to be able to fight back. And, Levi, when he attacks Zeke, he, uses the other Titans that are all standing there to, swings through them, and then he uses them to attack Zeke. But of course, what ends up happening is, what they could do with the Founding Titan is, have the Founding Titan go there and then have them, have it order them, have it order the other Titans to, freeze and then either kill each other so that way they can't hurt humanity anymore, or B, make them stand still while the, while the scouts go through and, attack the backs of their necks, the napes of their necks, and get rid of them. So that's one thing that could have been done. Or they could work on trying to find a way of, I don't know, turning the people back that doesn't involve them eating a shifter. Just that novel idea there. It's a very novel idea, I'd say. But we have it that, when it passed from Rod and Yuri's father to Yuri, he then took on that mantle of he had wanted to help, but then it just shifts and he's just like, no, we can't do anything. And then, of course, we have his interaction with Kenny Ackerman. And, Levi or Yuri, apologizes to Kenny and everything. And, Yuri spends basically the rest of his life possessed by that will of Karl Frist that prevents him from doing what he had wanted to do, to prevent him from, being able to help his people. We know that Eren is not subject to this will because he is, of course, not of non-royal blood. And Zeke, being able to touch Eren and activate the Founding Titan that way, was able to kind of bypass that, which we see in the manga. We haven't gotten to that part in the anime yet. But we see that in the manga when it comes to Zeke, like, that's why they wanted Zeke and Eren to interact with each other. But we see something slightly different with Frida. Frida still wanted to do, she wanted to, stop the Titans and everything. But of course, as soon as she's, now the Founding Titan, she can't do it. She can't just, oh, yeah, I'm going to go and, stop all those Titans from attacking us and find a way to try to turn them back. No, she's, still subservient to the First King's will. And we see that with, their eyes. They have that pattern that comes over their eyes whenever the First King's will comes into play and overrides their personality. Frida seemed to have a little bit of a different reaction to this because she still seemed to care quite a bit about Krista, about Historia, and everything. But it still didn't quite, it wasn't enough to be able to make her break that, which I went over in the breaking the will or the king's will and stuff like that. But what we see is there's also these group of noblemen and high-ranking MPs that seem to worship whoever it is that's the true king of the walls. We saw them doing this with Yuri, that, they would come and he would, expout the concept of pacifism, that no, we should not fight the Titans, no, we should not do this, no, we should not do that, no, we shouldn't do this is wrong, and everything like that, and expout those values and everything, and they would believe him, which, again, I've mentioned before, pacifism has its purpose. War and violence is not always the answer. But I'm sorry, in this case, it's called, no, you need to fight the frickin' Titans because they're gonna frickin' kill you. There's a difference there. The Titans aren't just gonna go away because you stop attacking them. There is a difference there. But, and then Frida still has that same role and still spouts the same, I'm sorry, in the case of what they're spouting, it is pacifistic nonsense. And, you know, Kenny makes the makes the comment, and I think it's the comment that I make at the end, the quote that I used at the end of this video, that is, you know, well, you know, whenever they would get this power going inside of him, whenever they got this, you know, omnipresent power, this almighty godlike power, they would become extremely compassionate. That's not saying that Yuri wasn't compassionate beforehand, or that Frida wasn't compassionate beforehand, because they did want to protect their people. It's just, it gets twisted because of the first king's will. And, you know, there's that, unfortunately. But see in this case that they just, you know, it basically instills, you know, oh, well, you wanted to do that before everything happened, but no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And, you know, that's one of the things that happens with Kenny, is that that's one of the reasons why he was helping Rod, because he wanted to get his hands on that power. He wanted to know what that power felt like. He wanted to get, you know, inject himself with the Titan serum and then turn into a Titan, and then be able to, you know, eat whoever had the founding Titan and gain that power. That's why he was helping, you know, Rod and catching Historia and getting Aaron and everything. And why he was, you know, willing to do that and very helpful to Rod in that case. And but then he reveals that, no, I just wanted, you know, he listens in on like Rod explaining to Historia about the fact of, you know, well, if you do this, then you can have this power and everything, but it only works for people who are of royal blood. And that's when Kenny gets very angry, and he, you know, threatens Rod. Should have threatened Rod a long time ago, but sure, we'll move on from that. But we see the same, we see this devotion that, like, for instance, I mentioned, you know, in the Church of the Walls video, I mentioned that, you know, Pastor Nick gets interrogated and tortured by a member of the MPs. And that same MP ends up getting tortured and interrogated by Hanji and Levi, mostly by Hanji. And he keeps saying that he will not defy the king, he will not do this, he will not do that, he will not betray his king. And they think that he's referring to King Frist, who is the puppet king, when in actuality he is, of course, referring to, technically it'd be like to Rod, because Rod is technically the only member of the royal family that exists at the moment, that knows about their role. But the second that, like, Historia would become the new, like, if the plot had worked to make Historia the new possessor of the founding Titan, then, you know, his allegiance would have been to her instead. Because then she would still probably end up still spouting the same pacifistic nonsense. Hanji and Levi, of course, trick the one MP guy. I don't remember his name, I don't really care. Trick him into telling them that no, it is the Reese family are the ones that are actually in control of the walls, or the real rulers and everything. And that the king, the Frist king, is actually just a puppet king. He's a false king. And that, you know, so many of the high-ranking nobles from the very high-ranking noble families and everything know this. And they, you know, they use the king as a puppet. They will follow what, like, whoever the founding Titan holds of royal blood, they will follow them. And then, of course, we see this system kind of fall apart a bit when Historia takes up the throne, and when, you know, Commander Zachary gets in control, and he then, you know, has fun torturing the royals and the nobles, which was kind of cathartic to watch, because it's always fun to watch people that have done horrible things only to increase their own power get their comeuppance. That is a very wonderful thing to show, a very wonderful thing to watch, which is why it's always fun, like in One Piece, when you get to see Luffy finally punch out the bad guy, or in Attack on Titan, when, you know, Aaron, you know, gets to fight, you know, whoever insert, or when you watch Levi kind of, you know, get to fight, you know, Zeke. Chewie's leaning a little bit. But, you know, so we get that. There's not too much else that goes along with that. I mean, the Merlians wanted to get their hands on the founding Titan from Paradise, because they wanted to be able to use the founding Titan to then basically just, you know, control all the other Eldians and or well, maybe not control the other Eldians, but if they get their hand on that founding titan, then they know that they can prevent the rumbling from happening, and then they can just go in and slaughter the Eldians that are there, maybe take the kids captive, or take captive any of the ones that can be useful to them, particularly any of them that are of royal blood. They can use them to breed more holders for the founding titan or for other titans, for them to use to be able to utilize their power, and then they can use them to keep dominating the world, which is why they wanted to get onto Paradise in the first place, because Paradise has certain resources that they want to get a hold of. Now, I'll go over that a little bit more in the warriors, the Morlayan warriors ones, because I do kind of put that as a bit of a religion, and I'll go over some other comments that I want to make about that when I get to that. So that's what I have for this video, for kind of the founding titan, or the king's wills cult type of thing. So I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. Godlike power. Everyone who gets their hands on it seems to turn compassionate. Would the same thing happen to even garbage like me? I want to know, what's it feel like? What does it even look like from up there? Can a piece of trash like me ever see the same kind of thing you see?